Hello everybody, welcome back to my little corner of the world here with Vault Hunters, and me, I'm OzoneB. Once again, I've been falling a little bit behind on my video making schedule. I haven't been feeling quite myself again last week, and so to start off this episode, I'm going to be taking it a little easy, doing some base maintenance and kind of doing some prep work for the next step. I will say that the farms made in the last episode are doing really well. I've got way more than enough logs right now, so much so that I'm thinking about setting up an overflow system to dump them into this bulk blasting furnace and get charcoal. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. It's just an idea that's rolling around inside this head. I haven't had that much of a demand for charcoal quite yet from the altar. I do have some big news planned for a little later on that will lead us into something brand new entirely. Now, of course, I've been running vaults and leveling up. I'm almost level 70 right now. That's quite a lot of vaults, and to be quite honest, they're getting a little repetitive and a little boring. My friend Red Life once made a video about why he quit Vault Hunters, and one of his points was that the mid-game is very repetitive, and I can definitely start to see that now. I've been taking this series pretty relaxed, honestly, not really rushing forward. But yeah, running vaults doesn't have quite the same appeal that it once did. It's starting to feel more like a chore. Now, I've been doing it. I've got skill points to spend. I've also done a little bit of skill points spending in the meantime. But I do feel like it is time to up that XP multiplier value that we got with 1.13.8 patch release. And so if you're in the same boat, but don't really know how to do that, it's pretty easy. Go to the escape menu, open the land, and say allow cheats on. When you start your land world, now you can do the commands. Now we've got full cheat mode enabled. And, well, you can use this to cheat in your world if you like, but Mumbo Jumbo is pretty famous for saying that once you start cheating in your world, it just loses all appeal, and I definitely agree with that. But what we need to do is set the game rule Vault XP Multiplier. As I said in the last video, we're running 3 on Season of the Noob, and I think that's what I'm going to run with here. And I think I'm going to run with this multiplier until getting to level 100, and then back off again. My vault armor is actually doing pretty good, but I am definitely starting to feel the pressure of the vaults. The mobs are hitting harder and harder, and real soon I'm going to start running into Vindicators, which is going to be even worse. But I need that tier 2 armor, which you start getting at level 100, and so I think it's time for the XP multiplier to kick in. Now, when I hit level 65, I followed my own advice to make sure and take the next level of strength. I feel like it really does make things a lot easier for being able to kill those mobs in the vault. I also dropped a point in reach and a point into well fit. I've yet to have any additional hearts from well fit, and I think it's time. I also got really lucky once again with the soul shard shop with an echo pog for less than 1,000 shards. That's pretty crazy. This is now the 3rd echo pog that I've gotten, and it really makes all those points that I've spent in Soul Hunter worthwhile. Now, the first bit of maintenance is back here in the power generation room about how to make this generator work even better. As you can see, it's working at 100% efficiency and generating some 400 EF. But I had a comment saying you can do even better than 100% by using a block of blazing crystals. So we replaced that and put in this blazing block, and now we see that this thermo generator is operating at 280%, well over 1,000 EF. I'm only using like 150 or something, 145. Hopefully, this will last a long time. Now, of course, as soon as I say that, I'm sure I'm going to find something that I want more power in, but wow, that is a really big increase. Now, I did have to spend quite a bit of time waiting for these blazing crystals to be made, but it definitely seems like it's well worth it. So thank you so much for the comment. I really appreciate it. So after doing the power upgrade, I decided it's time to decorate this room. I kind of tried to make it feel like industrial, well, like the rest of the base really, but kind of dingy. I went with this slag brick instead of the clinker brick because it's less bright, and the hardened stone floor with various little designs like it's, old and worn. I've got an interesting ladder back here that doesn't go anywhere, just for decoration. So I think this works out pretty good. It seems like this room is going to be part of the base and I might be coming back here kind of regularly, and so I felt like it needed to be decorated. Whoops, totally wasn't paying attention here. I was just cleaning things up and out we got another Omega statue. Well, I guess we got to go figure out what we get. Let's see who we get with this surprise statue. We get Slate, Scoria, Space 14, Slate, and Rocky Dirt. None of which is great. Slate could be pretty, but Rocky Dirt can actually be used to get you dirt, so I guess I'm going to take that. And is that Wintergrave? Wintergrave, yeah, all right. Welcome to the family, Wintergrave. Or, well, welcome to the family, whoever gets their name drawn for this one. That's right, once again, gonna do another drawing to see who we name this statue after. So leave a comment down below, be sure to include your Minecraft name, and in the next episode, we'll get another drawing going and name this after somebody that comments. You see, this Rocky Dirt that he's creating, if you put it into a crafting grid by itself, it just becomes 4 pieces of dirt per Rocky Dirt, which is a decent return, honestly. So you're just another dirt Omega statue, even though you don't even realize it. Speaking of statues, after the last episode, I did get a message back from Builder F1 saying the name wasn't quite right. So let's fix that right now and put in the proper name. All right, that definitely looks like a custom skin. So thank you, Builder F1, for the comment, and I hope that we got the proper skin going with your name here. As for the next statue here, I need to give it a little bit more time before we head back to the Dropper of Fate and determine who gets this one. So we'll come back to this later at the end of the episode. But now this presents another problem. Now, this is my last spot for an Omega statue that I have reserved. And honestly, I'm not sure where I would put him otherwise. So yeah, that's going to be a problem for another day. Housekeeping item number 2 has to do with my refined storage system itself. Number 1, my disk drives are getting pretty darn full, so I need to make a new one of these. But number 2, I want to upgrade this grid. This grid is what I use to access all of the items in my storage system, and it works out really well, but it can't craft. I've got a crafting table here, and so I've got to take items from the grid and turn around over here to the crafting table. There is, however, a crafting grid which integrates the crafting table into the grid itself. So we need the grid, a crafting table, and an ecopog. An ecopog is really one of those very expensive things. However, because I've been very lucky with the shard store, I now have 3 of them, and I think I can use one to upgrade this grid into a crafting grid. So that's housekeeping item number 2. Not gonna lie, this is pretty expensive, but I think it's well worth it at this point. And so now we see the full grid plus a full crafting table. So if I wanted to make, say, a perfect Larimar, I could take and put them in here, immediately take those perfect Larimars and put them right back into the refined storage system. That's going to be really convenient. I'm really happy for that. I've got the other grid in the create area. I might actually do that well, but I'm really hesitant to spend any more ecopogs. I could probably make another ecopog because I have collected quite a few more echo since last time, but yeah, they're still really rare. So we'll just stick with this one for right now. As for getting more storage, my initial plan was to go with these storage blocks instead of a storage drive. At this point, pogs aren't nearly so precious, and I can definitely afford one for a storage drive, and I think I'm going to be doing that for this next set of storage upgrades. While these storage blocks are definitely serving the purpose, my big problem with them is I have no way of telling exactly what is being stored here or how to get it out of here. So like this 4K, I would kind of like to just empty it out so that I can upgrade it into another 16K, but there really isn't another way to do that without crafting a whole other controller and setting up a totally separate system. And I really don't want to do that. But maybe you know, is there a way to empty items from the storage blocks? I couldn't find anything in the docs, but if you happen to know a tip or trick, please let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate it. With disk drives, you can actually set up a disk manipulator, and this will allow you to move items from one disk to another, and therefore alleviating this whole problem of how do I get the items out of this storage block. If I could empty this storage block, I could get the part back. I just don't know how to empty it. So I think I'm going to be going with a disk drive this time around. So it's time to break down all of my player gems, and let's see how many pogs we could actually make if I wanted to. That is a lot of player gems. That is a lot of effort to collect all these things. Obviously, I'm doing pretty darn good in Sparkletine and Tubium, and less good in Escalium and Gorgonite and Funzoid. But as usual, let's hope we get good luck with all of these. And now after it's all said and done, I've got more than a stack of some of these player gems. That's really just mind-blowing that I have that many of those gems so far at this point. Wow. So I decided to make 4 pogs because why not? All right, disk drive in place. Now we got to make some disks to go in it. And finally, after a lot of crafting, we get another 16K part. It took me a long time to fill up that 16K, so I do think a 16K is really all I need. Now I need to put it into a storage disk, but I gotta also say, crafting with this crafting grid is really a lot easier. It makes things go a lot faster. And so to give you an example, I'll pick the thing that I want, like this 16K disk, uses the 16K part that I just made, hit the little plus button, it automatically moves everything down into the crafting grid, and I can just drag it over and into my inventory. And when I'm done, boom, clear, it's gone. Makes things a whole lot easier. And now I can stick that 16K in this drive, and we should have plenty of room. Housekeeping item number 2, done. Yay! Maintenance item number 3 is this next crafting recipe right here. Yep, snowballs. I know very well that I can make a snowman right here and just sit here with a shovel and the altar will just suck it all up. I've done that more than a couple times. But remember, I'm trying to automate everything. And so it's time to make a small snowball farm. It won't be that hard, honestly. Let's just go get it done real quick. And so even though it's not using create-specific mechanics, I do think that this room is the right place to put it, and I think this little alcove is going to be the best place overall to put a snowman. Because that's how we're going to get our snow bars. And most importantly, it's already near where I already have the refined storage system. So we need to dig a little alcove here for our snowman to live in his happy little forever home. And there we go, a nice little alcove for our snowman to live in forever. And just like so many times before, we're going to be using a destructor to get those snowballs from the snow golem, but this is a little tricky. You actually have to place a block and the destructor first, and then placing the snow golem in place. There we go. And now, of course, with a detector going into the destructor, we can hook this up to the rest of the system and have it shut off automatically. So one moment while I do that. And now that it's all hooked up, it's a little hard to see with him tucked back in there so tight, but you can hear it doing the snowballs. And because there's no Silk Touch upgrade in this destructor, it's getting snowballs and not the snow layers. And there we go. The snowballs are going up nice and steady, and it will keep doing that until we get to 4,000 of them. Now, it's also going down slightly sometimes because the automatic packaging is kicking in and compacting those snowballs into snow blocks. And see, they're going up too. And so I'm pretty happy with this system. I don't really have a shutoff on the automatic packaging making the snow blocks, either that or the clay blocks. I'm just having to keep an eye on it for right now, but at some point I will do that. One more thing to get to is all of this unidentified vault gear and these 4 relics. These are what I'm most interested in, but I will do the gear first, especially also interested in these rare plus pieces. So let me get that done, and then I'll come back and let you know what I got. Well, as expected, not a lot of really great things. These scrappy legs with +4 health, though, I think are keepers. An epic idol? Yeah, that looks pretty good. A 6 chest plate? I'm thinking that looks pretty good. And a 9.7 sword. It's not as good as my current sword, which is like 10.2. So, but it'd be a good backup. I'm hoping that I can get into fabrication and take this +4 health off of these leggings at some point, which is why I want to keep that. Otherwise, we got a whole bunch of gear that just doesn't do that much for me, and I think I'm going to smelt it all down into scrap. But these are the ones that I'm actually most excited about, the relics and the mod box. The mod box is probably going to be garbage. It can be anything that I've currently unlocked. Ooh, it looks like it might be a disk drive. A 1K storage disk. Nice. Yeah, well, I mean, I just got the disk drive over there, so that'll help out. Definitely can upgrade that as we go along. And now for the relics. I don't know, I feel like my luck with relics has been really bad. I'm almost level 70 and I don't even have a complete set yet. So I'm really hopeful that one of these should be able to complete a set. I don't think so. Another gold essence, which I've already got. Another dragon's thing, which I've already got. Another sticks, which I've already got. The warrior's charm. That's the warrior's set. So it is a piece that I do not have. That's good, at least. All I got was one more piece out of a set that I'm not really that close to finishing. So, disappointment yet again. The next thing I want to talk about, though, isn't really so much of a housekeeping item as a tip or trick that you might not know. I found it really, really interesting. As you might know, when you hover over a shulker box, you can see a preview of the content. There's a lot of mods out there that will do this, and Quark is one of those mods that adds that capability automatically. But are you seeing this on this boss crate? I also have a preview of the items inside. Now, it's not a full preview because the boss crate is twice as big as a shulker. And when I open up the boss crate, you can see there's a lot more in here than what the preview actually showed. But nevertheless, being able to preview a boss crate is valuable and useful and not something that's enabled by default. I found this as a Reddit post, and the answer was provided by a user named Zadolf, kind of like Gandalf. And of course, I'll link that original Reddit post down in the description below. But in a nutshell, we need to go to the escape menu, hit the Q icon over here, and then go down to general settings. On this line here, shulker boxes, you can define which items are considered shulker boxes and therefore get the preview. And so I've added the vault crate, which is the Minecraft name for the boss crates. And you can add other things in here like arena crates or maybe the immersive engineering crates and get previews on them as well. So like I said, I found this to be a pretty interesting and I felt like it was important enough to share. So here you all are, and I do hope that you find some use in it. It's time once again to go to the Dropper of Fate. I had a few less comments this time, and I'm also not giving it quite as much time as I did last time. So who are we going to get from the Dropper this time? Nick Absurd Pants. Nick has left his name for the last several attempts, so I'm really glad to have Nick coming out of the Dropper of Fate this time. Oh, there we go. Looking like a soccer player kind of right there with that smooth stone in front of you. All right, thanks once again for the comment. Remember, leave a comment this time, and we will see who old Wintergrave here gets renamed to next. So now that we got all the maintenance done, what is the next big thing for me? Knowledge stars. Just a few. I've got just a few knowledge stars that I've been collecting for quite a while. 11 knowledge stars in my hand at this moment, and one more unspent knowledge point in the inventory already. That makes 12. And what was I trying to get? Yep, Botania. This represents a lot of vaults and a lot of time going into these 11 stars. So without further ado, let's use these guys up. 1, 2, 3, yummy. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, there we go. 12 knowledge points and the thing that I've been wanting to get for quite some time, a Botania. So there we go. Unlocked, ready to go. Now, the big question is, that was a lot of knowledge points. Why did I want to spend them all on Botania? There's a lot of things that I would really like to have. Waystones, mining gadgets, elevators, maybe backpacks. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that I could have gotten with those 12 points. The big reason are curios. Curios are the generic name for all of these slots that we have in addition to the normal armor slots, and up until this point, I've really only been using the back slot for a backpack, and it's been really useful. But there are a lot more slots that can hold items that can be very useful, and Botania provides the access to quite a few of them. Things like the Pyroclast necklace, which gives you immunity to fire and saving you 5 skill points. A ring of magnetization definitely helps with sucking up things and lessens the impact on your vault magnets. Or a ring of far reach to give you even more reach. How about the benevolent goddess charm? I really like that one because it makes it so that when creepers blow up, they don't destroy the ground around them. And that has the effect of keeping junk out of your inventory pretty effectively. And lastly, the Globetrotter Sash, which lets you do extra jumps and gives you extra speed. And don't forget the Terra Shatterer. The Terra Shatterer is the best tool for mining a whole bunch of stuff. Mine rooms and dig site rooms were made for the Terra Shatterer. That is a really far off end goal, but definitely something to work toward. And all of these things really help with the vault runs. I wanted Create for all the farms that it could make, and it's been a very good purchase for that. But Botania is all about the quality of life curios that can be added, at least for now, for me. And so much like I made a room back here for all of the Create machinery, I've also made another room for Botania, a little further down in the basements. Right now the stone steps to get down here are pretty ugly, and I don't even have an elevator access yet. This room is, okay. It's okay. It could be better, but I really wanted to go for something that really embraces the green natural vibes that come from Botania. So I've created this room to be like a little forest grove, complete with some of these hanging lights, these little vine lights, fairy lights on the floor. I think it's looking pretty good. It could certainly look a lot better. But this is where I want to do all of the Botania work in this room here. And if you caught the hit from the preview shulker, I have gone out and collected all of the Botania flowers that we need as well. Now I think the Botania work here is going to be a lot less tutorial-like. I feel like Botania is a really long and boring process to get to some of these things. And I feel like the rationale for why I want Botania more than anything else is what's most important. But I will certainly take some time to talk about what I'm doing. And if I make any farms, well, I'll be sure to talk about those too. There are 16 different colored mystical flowers, and you really do need all of them at some point or another. You can also find these tall versions out in the wild, and you need shears in order to clip them, and you can collect those as well. But any of these regular one-hive flowers will work, or at least one of each of them will work. Once you have some, you need to put them into your crafting grid in order to get these petals, and these petals are what is the basis for pretty much all crafting in Botania. The nice thing is, once you have one petal, you can put it down and it'll start to grow. See the little flickering lights? Pretty hard to see. It'll take a while to grow, or you can bone meal it and get one of those too tall variants of this same kind of flower, which again, you have to use the shears to clip. But once you get these tall versions, well, they generate 4 petals each instead of the 2 petals each from the short versions. And so it's really easy to just continue to grow all these flowers as long as you have enough of a bone meal supply to do it. So that's the first order of business. I'm going to be sitting here doing a lot of growing and making a lot of petals. I like these barrels in the trees. They look pretty natural. So in this one, I've got 16 of each of the tall flowers as a backup. And in this one, I've got all of the petals. So yeah, it went through a lot of bone meal, but it'll be worth it. Once you get some petals, the next thing to make is the Petal Apothecary, which is the basis for all of the flower production. You basically just throw in the right combination of petals and then seeds, and out pops the flower. In this case, it's a pure daisy, which is the very first kind of flower that you'll want to make. The annoying part is that after every single one, you got to fill it up with a new bucket of water, which is why I also placed this infinite water source here. Now these pure daisies are also really important and the very first things that you make because they are what are used to transform normal things into living things. So we put down some logs around the pure daisies and we get some living logs as a result, and the same for living stone around the other one, which is why I made 2. So after a while these things will turn into their living counterparts, and these are the fundamental building blocks for pretty much everything else. The little particle effects that you see around all these, now well, that says it's working, but it's also rather pretty. I'm going to have to look up ways on how to automate all of this because, yeah, I don't want to be down here doing this manual work all the time. The apothecary itself has a whole bunch of recipes for making a whole bunch of flowers, but the typical one that people go for first is the endo flame. So that's where I'm going next, is to make a few of these, because these are a fairly cheap and easy way to generate mana. And much like stress units is the basic units for create, mana are the basic units for Botania. So that's the first goal right now, is to set up mana generation. And the Endoflames are the way to go. Now, besides all of the wonderful YouTube resources, everything is also detailed in this Lexica Botanica, which I have found a few of in various dungeon chests. You can also make it very easily. But this has a minor quest system involved as well to help you advance from one step to the next. So I'm going to be going through this and getting started. I finally got what I consider to be a typical starter setup for Botania. I have 4 Endoflames in an area around something with a mana spreader, and that mana spreader is pointed at this mana pool. So if you look at the mana flame right now, it's got this little symbol at the side saying it's not connected to a mana spreader. That's what that little brown block is. So if I shift it with the wand, and the wand is in bind mode, and then shift again the mana spreader, now you can see that there was a little dotted line. So let's do it with this one over here, and boom, there was a little dotted line. And so now when I'm pointing at each of these Endoflames, it's got a little check mark next to the thing at the side saying that it's connected to the mana spreader, and the mana spreader is pointed at this mana pool. It's a little complicated. Now I've got this thing which is full of just general garbage that I've collected from the vaults. These stained planks can't really be used to make anything, and so I've been saving them along with other just various random wooden stuff so that I could use them for something, and I think this is actually a pretty good use for it. So at this point, if I throw in some food, some wood, the various Endoflames have lit up and are now consuming this, and we're sending mana into this mana pool. Now this isn't really a very efficient use of fuel. I mean, there are much more efficient things to use like blocks of coal and charcoal and whatnot, but this is just garbage that I've gotten from the vaults and have saved. So I'm going to use it up this way. I don't really feel like people think about things like that when they come back from the vaults with their inventories full of garbage, but there are definitely ways to use up many of the things that we pick up at the vaults. It's just a question of, is it worth your time? And, well, generally the answer is no. There is so much more to Botania that I could keep going on for, well, probably hours. But that's all the time we have for in this episode right now. It's been kind of a mishmash of an episode, lots of little minor things, but I hope you learned something important along the way. As for me and Botania, well, I've got a lot to learn as well. In the meantime, I think I'm going to be sitting down here feeding the Endoflames and building up a mana supply. So I'll be doing this much in between episodes, as well as getting back to running some more vaults. I haven't done this in a while. As a matter of fact, I really don't like doing it, but it's the YouTuber thing that you gotta do. So if you like this content, please subscribe and hit the like button and leave a comment. Well, leave a comment anyway, because you might just get your name on an Omega statue. But anyway, it all really helps out, and I thank you so much for your time to watch the video and your support in this effort. Remember, be excellent to each other, and I'm out.